collected by Hillary Clinton's team.
Oh, yes, I remember that one.
Oh, good God. This is something. This is a something.
I don't know where I'm supposed to talk.
So, I don't know.
But, well, Daddy, maybe we just had somebody stop by the station.
Oh, we may know who that is. It's the Shadow Man. Let's bring him in.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're doing fine.
And Shadow Man, how are you this evening?
Just trying to get some more information on what I'm going to be doing on Monday night. Remember, everybody, I'm the Shadow Man, and I know all about the 50s and the 60s, the old movies, the ghost stories, and especially on Dark Shadows.
Isn't it particularly the old horror movies?
Oh, yes.
Like the 50s and 60s Godzilla movies and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Vampire movies especially, and Dracula and Frankenstein movies.
Dracula especially, yes.
None of this Dracula 2000 crap that they did.
Now, the 70s had a good Dracula section. Now it's kind of,
Yes.
but, but back then, you actually had your imagination.
Give us a rundown, Shadow Man, on what Dark Shadows was. For you older viewers out there, you may remember this.
Well, I'm sure you do. I know I did. I remember running home. I mean, that's the big thing everybody said. I remember running home from school every day because of Dark Shadows. I remember everybody was closed. It had signs and everything else. It was true.
You lived in a boring part of the country, didn't you?
Well, unfortunately, we also lived in a country where it was actually being filmed. Okay?
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. You lived in the area.
Uh-huh. And I loved Dark Shadows. Dark Shadows was directed by Dan Curtis, as you all know. It was actually made from a dream he had. He had a dream about a girl named Victoria Winters who said that she was a governess going to a Maine estate, and she was going to take care of her 10-year-old child named David Collins. Now, the whole thing was kind of weird because the parents were weird. I mean, he had a father, and then he had an aunt named Elizabeth Collins Stoddard. And the father was Roger Collins. The mother was supposedly dead, but she wasn't, as we all know. Now, to me, the best episodes were the black and white, because you could do so much with the black and white as opposed to the color.
Yes, I remember when color television came in.
Mm-hmm. I loved the old black and white episodes. There was a whole episode when Laura, who was David's mother, came. And I'm not going to tell you what she is. She's going to be on one of the shows that I'm going to do next week. But let's just say that she was something supernatural and wanted to do something to David. You're all going to enjoy this, that's for darn sure. I know. I am so happy that I am on here. I love the 50s. I love the 60s. Of course, I was born in 53. I don't remember anything of the 50s. The 60s, still, I don't remember anything of that either that well. But like Dark Shadows, to be honest with you, just like all the other shows back then, I don't remember them except in repeats. Guys are not weird. But I remember watching all the old movies, and I loved the 50s and 60s. The 50s was more or less the time of the giant dinosaurs, the giant ants, the creatures that were made by the atomic bombs.
The 50-foot woman.
Yes. Oh, yeah, she was such a... And she was
Shrunken Man.
Made by an alien. The Shrunken Man was made by mist, which became Shrunken.
Radioactive mist.
Yes.
Don't forget that.
I mean, and everything was radioactive. Everything that was done to his or her was radioactive. Because back then, it was, again, running with like Russia with Khrushchev and everything else, and it was kind of mixed
the Cold
in.
War.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure you all remember that if you're as old as I am, and if you're not, if you're young, if you like what you're hearing, it's going to be kind of an education, but it's going to be a fun education. Because I'm also going to be having kind of like tests, and I'm going to be giving you like storylines and things like that. Now, you will enjoy it, because I enjoy doing it.
And I do know that a lot of the younger viewers or the younger listeners may enjoy Dark Shadows if they like the supernatural things, if they like the Twilight series and so forth. They may like Dark Shadows.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me tell you one thing. The Dark Shadows movie was nothing like the Dark Shadows series.
And we're talking about the new movie with Johnny Depp.
I did not like it. They could have done a lot more to it.
Michelle Pfeiffer was a very bad
Elizabeth Collins' daughter.
Yes.
But for what she was good for what she was. They had the David Collins, he was good. And what they decided to do was, and when Vicky came in the original TV show, she befriended a girl named Maggie Evans who was a waitress. Anyway, in the movie, she was Maggie Evans / Victoria Winters. And they just decided to do it that way instead of introducing a new character, which is wrong. And to me, they had too much, I hate saying this, I guess I'm a prude, but I love it. They had too much sex on it. All the sex between Barnabas and between Angelique was just a little bit too much. You know, crashing through the walls and everything else. Come on now. They never even did that.
And going back in time.
Yeah. I mean, come on, people. They thought...
Well, Shadow Man, explain how Dark Shadows went. Because when it first came out, wasn't it meant to be just a normal soap opera? And how did it go from being a normal soap opera, like Days of Our Lives, to a gothic horror
It started out being sort of like a gothic novel anyway. You know, the typical house on top of the hill, and there's the governess going, my word, look at that house, and she walks up there and opens the door, and all these things start happening to her. But it's nothing supernatural, it's just things that start happening. Anyway, the show started going from bad to worse.
In the ratings.
And so Dan Curtis was getting really upset because his show was good. He never had a bad show to begin with. So anyway, one of his kids said, well, why don't you make it supernatural? Why don't you add a ghost to it? So that's when he added Maggie Evans as a Josette's ghost. She was seen coming out of the old house, which was the original Collinwood back in the 1700s. And all she would do, which was weird in the beginning, was like these ballet dances, going through the pillars and everything else. And the only one who would see her would be David. Anyway, so they added that, and then they decided, well, why don't we add other things? And okay, I will tell you this: they decided to add the Phoenix. The Phoenix is a mythical creature that before it dies, it will bury itself in like a palm tree and cause a fire, killing itself. And then it will come back to life again, reborn. Anyway, so the whoever it was, which I'm not saying, which I will tell you next week, will become reborn. But she's got to have a sacrifice to go with her. Anyway, then they decided to add on Barnabas Collins. Now, I did like the Barnabas Collins beginning segment because it was just like Dracula. And boy, was it like Dracula. They had the
You're cutting out.
They had the nutty guy who was, knew his master was coming, which was Willie Loomis. But Willie Loomis wasn't so nutty. He knew what he was doing.
Whoa.
Then there was Dr. Hoffman, who would come in. She knew he was a vampire, so she came, and she said that she was going to make him free of a vampire. So that whole thing started, and actually, it was not supposed to be a Julia Hoffman. It was supposed to be a Julian Hoffman, which you might not have known. It was just a lady had typed it up and put in, left an N out, and put an A in, and it became Julia Hoffman. And so instead of having to recast everything, they just said, okay, fine, it's going to be a woman. And then it went from there to different shows and different segments. There are so many I've got to go through. I've got the whole series, all 1,000 something of my house. So anyway, it's going to be a fun time listening to me. Plus, as time goes on, I am going to start telling you about just certain ghost stories when Halloween comes up. We are going to be telling you about ghost stories about in your area. That's something else I love is ghost stories.
And he can pretty well tell you about any part of the country and give you ghost stories.
Yes. So when you say the Shadow Man is here, I am here.
And the Shadow Man comes to the B.and.R show Monday, May 2nd.
Yes, and I can't.
At our new time, which will be 6:30 Central Time.
So I can't wait.
Do make a note of that. Our new show time will be Monday, May 2nd at 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
Thank you very much for having me here to introduce myself. What else can I tell you?
Well, very glad you came stop by the show, Shadow Man, and we'll be looking forward to hearing your first adventures on Monday.
Thank you very much.
Do you already know what you're talking about, or
I might introduce.
Are you going to scare us or amaze us?
The only way I can scare you is show you my face, so never mind that. But it will be on Dark Shadows.
It will be on Dark Shadows.
Yes.
Well, that is very good, Shadow Man, and thank you again for stopping by the B.and.R show.
You're welcome. You guys have a super night and have a wonderfully scary weekend. Take care, and God bless all of you.
And remember, the Shadow Man knows all. Well, Daddy B, wasn't that interesting? Wasn't that interesting having the Shadow Man stop by the show?
Thank you.
Yes, it was. Very interesting.
Telling us
Very
about
informative.
telling us about his first shows coming up.
Yes.
This will be new to the B.and.R show for all you horror buffs.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of you out there. We thought this would be on the lighter side of all the politics that we talk about.
Yes. And I'm sure it is, and I'm sure everyone enjoys it.
And you can now, with our new time, have your kids listen to us if they want to during the Shadow Man.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we're going to play a great song for you. Think of this song as the way America should be and the way America used to be. Think about a better America with this song. Just think of it for a minute. Really take a listen to the song and bring it in. Just bring it into your heart. Think of a better America and think of what America should be. This song is by Aaron Tippin and it is called Where the Stars and Stripes and the Eagle Flies. Here it is.
Well, if you ask me where I come from, here's what I tell everyone. I was born by God's dear grace in an extraordinary place where the stars and stripes and the eagle flies. It's a big old land with countless dreams happiness ain't out of reach.